Donald Trump for president. I like Donald Trump's candor, and he doesn't mince words, and he tells it like it is. He makes a lot of sense and has an incredible track record to back him up. He's a shrewd businessman and negotiator, and the multi-billion-dollar empire he built under his watch is spectacular. We need that kind of talent and leadership within the White House. If Trump applies his knowledge and experience to running our nation, it could become phenomenal for America. He does business with the Chinese and other countries around the world all the time, and he knows just how to deal with them. He knows what it takes to be successful. Donald Trump may well be God sent to save America. Hello, I'm Dr. Chester Wilk. I'm deeply concerned at the direction our nation is going, and I prepared this video to express my concerns. I have another video on the YouTube entitled, "The Democrats Are Destroying America." That's "The Democrats Are Destroying America," in which I provide 38 reasons why President Obama and the Democrats are hurting our nation. And I cannot think of one positive thing which President Obama has ever initiated. And that's scary. I see Donald Trump as a true patriot who loves America so deeply that he's willing to run for president and save it from economic disaster. From his prestigious position, if he becomes president, it will actually be a sacrifice on his part, because he needs to be president about as much as he needs to get the mumps, if you know what I mean. But he's a great American and a patriot, and he cannot just sit back and watch America self-destruct before his eyes under the Obama administration. And that's why I'm convinced that Donald Trump will run unless he sees a candidate that he believes can do the job. I believe that he will win hands down if he runs, and most likely I believe he will run. Donald Trump realizes that Obamacare is a medical disaster which cannot survive within a capitalistic society. I sued and won a major landmark antitrust lawsuit against the American Medical Association. And President Obama, by pushing Obamacare down our throat, is actually forcing an anti-competitive health care program on us, and is doing exactly what we have passed laws to prevent from happening. Once you take away that competitive spirit and incentive from the healthcare providers in the healthcare field, the quality of the healthcare goes down and the price goes up, and it's happening. This is why we have the antitrust law, to protect our citizens from this happening. This undoubtedly would become Donald Trump's #1 priority, to eliminate Obamacare and then build a fence along the southern border of America. And if anybody can do it, he sure can. China has become the leading economic power in the world today during President Obama's presidency. As the Chinese watch us with disbelief at the gross incompetence and stupidity of our government negotiators selling our nation down the river. In 2 more years, we will be over $20 trillion in debt in China, brought on by President Obama. And when the interest rate on our loan exceeds our gross national product, our once proud nation will be brought down on its knees as slaves to China. And everyone will be losing, including that 47%, unless someone like Donald Trump steps in and saves us. I had the opportunity to speak with Senator George McGovern one time and ask him what he did after losing his Democratic presidential election. He said he went to business for himself, and he bankrupted, and then blamed it on, and these were his exact words, too much government regulations. Here he was running for president of the United States. He couldn't even run his own business without bankrupting it. Senators sit up in their ivory towers but have no real governing experience, and that's the problem. Any presidential candidate should at least have a successful track record to apply for the presidency. I'm partial to anyone running for president if they have a successful track record. And I know that Donald Trump voted for Governor Romney. Now let's look at Governor Romney's record. I'll give you 6 examples of why Romney is supremely qualified over President Obama, yet he failed to win the election. Number 1, Romney took Massachusetts out of a $3 billion deficit and created a $2 billion surplus for the state, and refused to accept any salary as governor, which is very generous of him, and putting his service to his country ahead of being paid. Now that's both impressive and most generous of Governor Romney to do, to not accept a salary. I've never heard of a Democrat doing that, have you? Number 2, Romney took struggling companies, turned them into thriving enterprises, sold them at a profit, and then donated nearly 20% of his profits to charity. We need this kind of talent and selflessness in the White House. By the way, President Obama donated 1% to charity, Vice President Biden even less. President Obama is very generous with other people's money. Number 3, Romney refused to accept 1 penny inheritance from his parents and donated it to charity. Would you do that? I certainly wouldn't. Not one person in a million would, but Romney did. That tells you something very special about the character of this man. Instead, he challenged himself to become a self-made millionaire while living in a basement apartment and using his economic expertise to become a multi-millionaire worth $250 million. Now, his accomplishment should be admired, respected, and utilized, not used against him like the Democrats. By using envy, shame on them. That was a devil influencing them with envy. Number 4, Romney took over the Olympics when it was in serious trouble and turned it into a success and refused to accept 1 penny of salary. And the people who worked with him said he was a brilliant administrator. Number 5, Romney started Staples, which now has 2,000 stores and 90,000 jobs. By the way, the government doesn't create jobs, the private sector does, and he is a brilliant businessman with an incredible track record. Number 6, Mitt Romney is a strong Christian man who backed up his beliefs by spending 30 months in France at his own expense, bringing people to Christ. When he was in France, he heard on his car radio that black people could now become Mormon missionaries just like he. He pulled off the road and wept for joy for them. And for the benefit of those nitpicky and picayune Christians, there are over 50,000 different denominations, Christian denominations in the world. And look at what we ended up with as president now. Are you satisfied? Romney's campaign manager should have brought out how Romney spent 30 months in France as a missionary for Christ at his own expense, instead of keeping it a secret. Why cover up Romney's goodness? I blame his campaign manager and the devil for not using it. I know Romney could not do it himself, but someone else could do it for him. If I was his campaign manager, I'd shout it from the rooftops. Are we going to give up on being a Christian nation? Doesn't this matter anymore? Apparently not to the Democrats. And you can be sure that Romney would never swap 5 dangerous criminals for a deadbeat military deserter like Bergdahl, and then bring the deserter's parents on television and hold Bergdahl up like some kind of a hero. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would never believe it. This is a pathological behavior, completely irrational thing to do. This is sick. That's why I believe there is a devil and that he is controlling President Obama. It's a heck of a thing to say about a president, but it's true. Just look at what he did with Bergdahl. That's the devil. And also about President Obama and the Democratic Party. To all of you good Christians out there, do you realize that a louder majority, a vocal majority of the delegates at the 1220 Democratic Convention, or should I say the Democratic Convention, voted to keep God out of their platform, but left God in it anyway? They couldn't even do a floor vote, vocal vote, with honesty. If If you doubt it, listen to the 2012 Democratic Convention yourself, and it's self-evident. That's why I label them the Democrats. And to those of you good Christians who think the devil is only a symbol of evil, or even worse, do not believe in God, I challenge you to watch my video on YouTube entitled, How to Discredit Atheists. I can challenge any atheist to a debate. I will clean their clock big time. It'll be no contest. Guaranteed. It's not because I'm that good, but because I am not. But because the facts I have are that good. If you doubt it for one moment, go to my video on YouTube entitled, How to Discredit Atheists, and you will have to agree. Mitt Romney could still make a very fine leader because of his administrative ability, his integrity, his compassion for people of all color, and his humble and unselfish commitment to serve his fellow man and put his country first above himself. I believe that Romney genuinely believed that he had the presidency all wrapped up. And by the way, so did a lot of experts. So I don't believe he actually choked, but he just did not want to brutalize President Obama at the end because he thought that he won the election. You may recall that on Romney's next to last debate, he had Obama beaten badly. Had Obama brought up Benghazi and aggressively attacked the cover-ups and lies of President Obama and Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party, he'd have a dramatically different situation today. I believe Romney's defeat taught him a bitter lesson. When you're in the boxing rink with an opponent and you have your opponent against the ropes, you fight them all that much harder to put them away for good. You don't back off. And that was Romney's bitter lesson. Whoever gets in as president is going to have a huge, tough, thankless job straightening out the horrible mess in which President Obama and the Democrats put us. I had an interesting thought come to my mind. Donald Trump running for president and choosing Mitt Romney or Scott Walker as running mates, who both have impressive track records in their states. Now, wouldn't that be something? Time will tell. We'd have two highly skilled, qualified professional businessmen and negotiators at the top instead of the pathetic amateurs we have today who are selling us down the river. The Democratic Party needs to heed the warning of George Washington when he said that if we put our party ahead of our country, we will self-destruct. And unfortunately, this is exactly what's happening. The Democrats had it in them. They would impeach and remove President Obama immediately and not endure his self-destructive policies for 2 more years. But sadly, it's not in their genes to do it. The devil pretty much has the Democrats under control. And by the way, there are some Republicans who are not much better. Winston Churchill said that politics is almost as exciting as war and quite as dangerous. In war, you can be killed once, but in politics, you can be killed many times. Romney is very much alive and well and still can become one of our finest leaders. I thank you so much for listening, and God bless America. It's sure going to need it.